What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the College Sports Connection podcast, where Double A, Alex, and AJ host the Mid-American Conference Best.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the CSC podcast, all action, all the time. I'm your host, Alex, the captain. Joining me, as always, you know him, you love him. It's AJ, the guru.
What's going on, everybody?
AJ, welcome back. The MAC baseball tournament has come. It has gone. We have a champion. We have an NCAA tournament coming up. Let's recap that MAC championship and Ball State's incredible run from the 3 seed to tournament champion.
Absolutely knocking off the number 1 seed, Kent State, at home, which, I mean, Kent State was they were a mountain of a team this year in the Mid-American Conference.
Juggernaut.
And they were. And Ball State pulled it off really at the top of the ninth with a grand slam. With a high scoring game, was it 12-9 or something like that?
12-9 was the final. And you talk about Kent State. I don't think people really realize how impressive they were this year. 42-16. They were 24-6 in conference play. 24-3 at home.
Mm-hmm.
You could not beat Kent State at Kent State. Like there was no winning those games. That was impressive. But they came out, they played extremely well, and obviously, Ball State secured the win. You're looking at what Ball State did this year as well. Ball State had a solid year, 36-21. At home, they were pretty solid, 13-6. On the road, they got the wins that mattered. They were only 16-14. But the one win that mattered was the championship tournament win. And what was really impressive is Ball State was the only team who went undefeated in the tournament. Obviously that's what happens with the winners, right? But even up until the championship game, every game they played, the goal was to eliminate somebody, and they played Kent State in back-to-back games. They started Wednesday with the opener with Central Michigan, won a wild 7-6 game. You look at that box score. Central Michigan was on pace to win this thing. They were up 5-2 till the top of the 8th when Ball State took a early lead, or took a late lead, and ended up winning this thing. They ended up winning 7-6. And I mean, that was just a great game. If you're Ball State, that's a game that you come out, and that's the kind of game you want to try to win. Then they moved on. They almost shut out Kent State in the first match. It was a 6-1 victory for the Cardinals. And then in that championship game, I'm looking at this box score a little bit closer. This was a game that really, if you had told me Ball State was going to win this thing in walk-off fashion, or as much of a walk-off fashion as you could, I wouldn't have believed you. But Kent State, they looked dead to rights in the 8th inning, or Ball State looked dead to rights in the 8th inning. Kent State had scored 7 runs in the previous 2 innings. Ball State was just looking for something. They were down 9-8. Then they hit that grand slam in the top of the 9th. Adam Tiller, 4 runs scored, obviously grand slam. What a win for Ball State. What a gutsy win. And this was a huge one. Looking at the attendance numbers, or not the attendance numbers, because we know, unfortunately, MAC baseball attendance is not a big thing. But looking at just some of these numbers here, I mean, they had a lot of hits in this tournament.
Yeah, they really did. Just in the championship game, they had 14 hits with 0 errors. Kent State, 12 hits with 1 error. You look at it, you could look down the numbers here. Ball State had 38 at bats. Now, obviously how it works, but nevertheless, you look at guys here. 5 at bats, 2 or 3 hits apiece.
Mm-hmm.
They did a great job putting the bat on the ball, and they did just enough, obviously, to make it to Lexington, which we'll get into here in a little bit, where they take on Wildcats of Kentucky in the first round, who the number one seed in that bracket. But yeah, obviously great for Coach Mahoney. All those guys down the Ball State program, they've struggled the past couple of years. There's an opportunity to represent the MAC very well, and it does, it's wild too. You have a Kent State team with 42 wins done for the year.
Well, and that's, I saw there, I'm sure you saw it on Twitter too. Kent State petitioned to the NCAA tournament, like, look, we have 42 wins. We're one of the top, I think it was like top 15 teams in the country in terms of win total. Their RPI was above 50. I think their RPI ended up being like 49, and their 64 teams made the tournament. I know that the committee says RPI doesn't matter. But then when you go to start handing out tournament bids, you look at what matters, and the thing that weighed the most was the RPI. It's why Campbell doesn't get to host a regional, despite the fact that they deserve to. Auburn had a better RPI.
Yeah.
And that was huge in the headlines for Campbell and for teams in general. Sure, Auburn has much better facilities. I'm not questioning that. But don't tell us RPI doesn't matter and then award teams who have better RPIs. I think it's silly that you pick and choose. There's always that human element to picking these things, and I'm fine with the human element. I've never had an issue. I take that back. I've had issues with the human element. I don't have an issue with human element as long as you're consistent. If you tell me a team with a 49 RPI doesn't deserve to make it, that's fine. But don't give it to a team who has a 49 RPI out of the Big Ten when you're not going to give it to a team with that exact same RPI out of the MAC. The number's the same. At that point, your conference, where you played, where you started, doesn't matter if your RPI number is the exact same. Right. So that's really my big issue with the NCAA tournament and how they pick these teams. I truly believe Ball State deserved it, obviously winning the MAC tournament. But I really believe that Kent State deserved to be in. 42 wins is just incredible. They had a couple Power 5 wins over Ohio State and Pittsburgh. This is a team who came out, they gutted out some crazy good wins. I'm looking at their schedule from teams that they did play this year. They had a lot of shutout victories, or not shutout victories, but they had a lot of sweeps. UT Martin, they swept a lot of MAC teams. Northern Illinois, they beat Pitt, they beat Central Michigan, they lost a close one to Indiana, a 3-4 game to Indiana, who's in this bracket with Ball State. They swept Bowling Green, they swept Akron. They've got a 10-5 win over Ohio State, swept Ohio, lost a nail biter to Michigan. This is just, you're telling me that this team doesn't deserve to be in. I disagree. I vehemently disagree, because Kent State had the resume to be an at-large in this tournament. Just sadly, we don't get to see them play a little bit more like we think they should.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's one of those situations that's very similar to, when you get deep, when it comes to the records anyway, you always talk about March Madness, and you always said that 16 being the one in the first round. It's like, oh wow, this team with 32 wins was home the rest of the year. Obviously, there's always gonna be somebody that's sent home. It's how it is, unfortunately.
Right.
But nevertheless, MAC does have good representation. Ball State, it's a great program. Yeah, they put like 32 wins in the year, playing really good, which we can get into now as they go on and play Kentucky here tomorrow at noon your time, 10 a.m. my time, which is great. Here for it. So yeah, Ball State at 36-21 is going to take on a 36-18 Kentucky, and also in that bracket is IU at 41-18 taking on West Virginia at 39-18.
I'm really curious. So and we'll get into the Kentucky hosting the regional bit in a minute. Ball State played Indiana twice this year in baseball.
Yeah.
A 16-13 loss and a 9-8 loss. And you know what they say, third time's a charm.
Sure.
I would not be surprised to see Ball State loses this game to Kentucky, but I would not be surprised to see them walk away with at least a win over Indiana.
Yeah, absolutely.
They clearly have the numbers to do it. I mean, they were in both of those games. I'm looking at their game right now from the 13-16 loss. And this was a game that, I mean, they were right in the whole time. They actually took an 8-3 lead in the second inning. The big difference, and I'm looking at it right now, was the fourth inning for Indiana, where they scored 8 runs to Ball State 0. That's really the difference in this game.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at this. Indiana, I mean, they're a good program. I don't want to take anything away from them and what they've done. This is an Indiana team who has played really well all year long. But I genuinely believe that Ball State can win that game in this regional, and I love that they got paired as an opponent for Indiana in this regional.
Yeah, without a doubt. There's ties between the programs. We kind of look here that we can kind of go over here the top 16 seeds for the tournament. Number one is Wake Forest at 47-10 on the year.
Wake Forest is nuts. I would not be surprised to see them win the whole thing. And I know we say that every year. They've got a quality program, them and Vanderbilt, but this might be Wake Forest year.
Absolutely.
They haven't won the title since the 60s, I believe.
60, something like that, yeah. You had Wake Forest at 1 Florida, 44-14 at 2 Arkansas, at 3 at 41-16. Clemson sit at 4, 43-17. At 5 is LSU at 43-15. Vanderbilt, we just talked about, 6. The 6th seed, they're at 41-18. Virginia at the 7th, 45-12. Stanford at 8 at 38-16. Miami,
I'm going to stop
Florida.
you right there. I'm going to stop you right there at number 8. So we're doing the top 16 seeds, right?
Yeah.
5 of those top 8 are from the SEC.
Well, the SEC has 10 schools in the tournament.
Unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, and they all deserve it, right? I mean, I'm not going to discredit what the SEC does, but 5 of those top 10 teams, or 5 of those top 8 teams, are from the same conference, and they all have 40-plus wins.
And there's more coming.
Right. Unbelievable.
Right. So at 9, Miami, Florida, 40-19. At 10, Coastal Carolina. They've always been a solid program at 39-19. The 11th seed is Oklahoma State at 41-18. The 12th seed is Kentucky at 36-18. SEC 13, Auburn 34-21-1 on the year. 14.
I didn't know baseball had ties anymore.
Neither did I. My Sycamores down in Terre Haute, Indiana, sitting the 14th seed at 42-15. South Carolina at the 15th seed, 39-19, and rounding out the top 16 is another SEC program, and Alabama at 40-19. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of the 16 programs have 40 wins or more.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, so let's break down this Kentucky regional. This Lexington regional.
Yes.
Kentucky, obviously, they're the number 1 seed in that regional, or they're the top seed in the regional. It's they're 36-18, like you said. They finished 8th in the SEC, and looking at it, they actually finished dead last in the conference in home runs.
Yeah.
They were, however, 2nd in the SEC and 11th in the country in on-base percentage. For those who don't know, it's the percentage to get on base, which seems obvious, but sometimes people don't know those things. They have 89 stolen bases, which is 2nd in the SEC. And they are tied for 2nd in the SEC in triples and 6th in the SEC for doubles. So they always get people on base. They get people moving, and that's why they have 36 wins. They have 53. This blew my mind. 53 sack flies this season, which is 6th in the country.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Their starting pitcher Zach Lee has 13 starts with a 5-2 record, with about a 3.58 ERA. I couldn't tell what that number was there. It was a little blurry. And he was big for them in late SEC play. West Virginia, another quality program. They're on a little bit of a losing streak right now. They've actually lost its last 5 games. and 2 of them came in the Big 12 tournament. So they're hoping to rebound and using this game against Indiana as a chance to kind of, hey, let's get this figured out. They're kind of led by JJ Weatherholt, who's been kind of their star. He has a 443 batting average, which is second in the country, and he leads West Virginia with 15 home runs, 35 stolen bases. Moving on to Indiana, 41-18, as you mentioned, and they have actually lost 4 of their last 6 coming into this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Tibbetts, it's a position I know you'll like. Their catcher is leading them in hitting, and he's batting at 372 with 10 home runs and 66 ribbies. Devin Taylor leads Indiana with homers with 16 and has driven in 57 runs. The star of this team, though, just looking at numbers and whatnot, Luke Sinnard. He's been one of their starting pitchers. Yes, his number says he's 6'8". His height is 6'8". He has a 6'3" record. They put these numbers right back to back. He has a 6-3 record with a 4.15 ERA in 15 starts. 109 batters have been struck out by this guy this year.
Yeah.
17th in the country in strikeouts. That's incredible.
Yeah,
and then
really
obviously Ball State, we can dive into them, but that's who Ball State's looking at trying to beat in this regional, and that's tough.
It really is, but it's a great challenge playing a Kentucky team at home.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about it. You and I have talked about it through text and what's going on in Lexington and at UK with no hotels and stuff like that. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But I think it's a great opportunity for Ball State to get in and get out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Go in and play UK, who's a great. I mean, they've got just a couple more wins than you do. I mean, you're sitting there at 36-18 versus a 36-12, so same amount of wins.
Yeah.
So, only time will tell, but I think it's a fantastic opportunity for the Cardinals here going tomorrow.
Well, and I'm looking at some of these Cardinals numbers as well. They've won 6 of their last 9, obviously 3 in a row to win the MAC tournament. Rich Maloney, they have won 16 games on the row. So for them, that being in somebody else's, like in that visiting dugout, that doesn't really phase them. Rich Maloney knows this team inside and out. He's been there for what, 18 years?
A hot minute.
Yeah, he's been there for a while. So he understands this team. And I'm looking at, at junior, he's the junior Decker Scheffler. He leads Ball State with a 388 batting average. I mean, that kid can just hit. He can go out. It doesn't matter who's throwing at him. He can hit. Trenner O'Donnell's one of their starting pitchers. He's 5-3 with a sub-3 ERA. You don't see that in college baseball anymore as a starting pitcher.
No.
A sub-3 ERA is impressive. And he has struck out 92 batters over 84 innings.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's been very, very impressive. I'm excited for Ball State because one of the biggest things that people talk about in baseball, in college baseball, is how good the SEC is. There is no denying that. The SEC is a phenomenal baseball conference. They are the baseball conference in college sports. I'll just, we'll say it. That and softball, them and the Big 12. But the SEC has the advantage on hitting because what can they do year round? They can be outside. They can hit. The strength the MAC brings to every tournament every year is pitching.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yes, your guys can't get outside. They can't get out and hit. But what can your pitchers do indoor year round? They can throw the damn ball. Ball State is in a great position to come out of this regional, even if they don't win the regional, to come out of this regional with at least one win. I would love to declare Ball State could make it to the regional championship, similar to what Miami, Ohio did in softball this year, where they actually beat Kentucky women on their way to the regional championship. But I would not be shocked if Ball State won 2 games in this regional and made it to the regional championship. just as I would not be shocked if they got sent home after day 2.
Right.
Kind of
Yeah,
a one or the other for me.
exactly. You kind of look. I would imagine O'Donnell is going to get the start tomorrow.
Yeah, I have to imagine so.
Yeah, he's a 2.98 ERA with a 5-3 record on the year. He started 14 of his 15 games this year. So I
Yeah,
would
no.
imagine what's that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, no, he's been absolutely excellent. He's the one who has 92
Yeah.
strikeouts. Like,
Yeah.
that's
Kid out of
impressive.
South Lake. Yeah, out of South Lake, Texas. So I'd imagine he gets the bump and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm sure I'll have the game on my computer tomorrow. It'll be fun to watch.
Hmm.
But it's just exciting to know that there's still Mid-American Conference sports going on as we get into the tournament here because we do know, because we are fans of it, how much fun the College World Series is. We talked
Hmm.
about the softball World Series with Coach Fenton a couple weeks ago, but on the softball side, how exciting that has become over the years. The road to Omaha is just as fun.
Hmm.
Like I live a couple hours, not far from Omaha, so that might be maybe a trip to make this year.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. That'd be a lot of fun. But let's talk about a little bit more to this regional. Um, Media's hot right now, and I've got some choice words, so I'll let you go first. But accommodations are not great for this Lexington regional. There is a clear, overwhelming home court, home field, home diamond advantage that is a little bit more unique to Kentucky than any of the other regionals.
Yeah, it really is. It's something that I don't think I've ever seen in all my years of just being a fan in general. This is kind of one of those situations where, Lexington's not a big town, but it's not a small town either. And
No,
I guess the only saving grace for this is it's not far from Muncie, it's not far from IU, it's not far from Morgantown.
right.
Well, so that might be the only saving grace when it comes to this. But the elephant in the room is there's a country concert going on in Lexington, and there are not enough hotel rooms to accommodate players and fans and everybody alike who will be in Lexington for this regional round. I'm trying to find that picture here, but it
There,
has essentially the prices of what's going on here. So you're pretty much staying in a freshman dorm, and you have to pay for you to do your laundry.
I think it was 92.50 a night.
92.50 a night, correct. And laundry room on each floor, $1.50 to
Wash and a
wash,
dollar fifty to
$1.50 to
dry.
dry.
Yep.
There's a kitchen on each floor. Bike parking, refrigerator, and microwave combination be provided. High-speed internet, which is fine, whatever. But still, this is not a great look. And looking at the dorm just from the outside, it's definitely the freshman dorm.
So when I heard that Lexington was hosting this regional, I was excited
Mhm.
because I've seen those facilities. I was down there last year for Kentucky versus Miami in football. So I stopped in, I checked out, baseball facilities because you always hear the SEC has great baseball facilities, and they do. The facilities are beautiful. Kentucky has a really nice setup. When I heard that they were hosting this regional, I was excited. When I heard about what accommodations were going to be, I was mortified for the teams and the fans because it's not just that country concert or whatever. No, there's also another, I think it's the state championship tournament or state regionals for high school baseball, something with state baseball tournament, if I remember correctly.
Hmm.
So they've got that going on as well at other diamonds in the area. So if I'm the NCAA, I saw somewhere that they approved this site a couple weeks ago, in case Kentucky was selected, like they've approved it or whatever. So if I'm Indiana or if I'm the NCAA, my question is, why did we approve this site knowing these other dates and events were going on this same weekend?
Mhm.
Why didn't we give it to West Virginia, who I think is the 2 seed in this regional, correct?
Yep.
So why didn't West Virginia get the consideration?
Or Bloomington. Bloomington's beautiful this time of year.
Bloomington's beautiful this time of year. I understand you want to reward the top seed with it. That's why I think, West Virginia, they're the 2 seed. They were right up there.
Hmm. I think Bloomington, though, would be more centrally located.
I don't think so. I think Lexington's more centrally located because you go to Bloomington, that's the furthest west. Granted, West Virginia would have been the furthest east.
Mm-hmm.
Ball State or Kentucky would have been the most two central places.
I guess so.
So, I get that. I get the regional travel and I get all those things. But if I'm the NCAA, I'm embarrassed that we approved this. If I'm Ball State, Indiana, and West Virginia, I'm calling for somebody's head because this is embarrassing. This should not have happened this way. This should have been how do I want to say it? This should have been something that the committee actually looked at a little bit closer and said, wait a minute, we can't get fans there. We can't get the teams in hotels, let alone fans. Why are we approving this site for a tournament regional?
Right. And it's interesting too. I mean, Indiana State's hosting, and they're hosting Wright State, North Carolina, and Iowa. I've been to Terre Haute many a time. There's nothing in Terre Haute.
Right. So I'm shocked and I'm disappointed in the NCAA for giving the green light for this regional.
Sure.
Granted, I know Kentucky did enough to get the top seeding in this regional. I'm really disappointed in the tournament and the committee for making the decision they did to host it here with those other factors going on. That being said, I really hope it's a great regional. I hope that things go off without a hitch. I'm just vastly disappointed in what the championship committee has decided for this regional and how it's going to fall out.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess only time will tell. 'Cause, I mean, who knows? I think this is kind of uncharted water. But then again, though, this could be something that happens every year, but we only know about it because Ball State's in it. And
We
that's
only
what
know about it because Ball State's in it, and the speed of social media. Like,
yeah.
I feel like this has gotten a lot more attention than other stuff in various regionals. So, yeah, I mean, it's a couple of factors for sure. I'm very surprised that the committee approved this site, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. I'm excited for tomorrow's game. It's going to be exciting. Ball State, Kentucky. This one should be a good one. I'm hoping Ball State's pitching can hold up. I know that they have the talent to. I know Central Michigan, 2 years ago, was in the regional championship when they had to take on Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
So
And Central was good.
Central was real good. They had a really good team that year.
Yeah.
And they almost knocked off Notre Dame in that regional final
Yeah,
too.
we're watching that. Yeah.
Yep. I remember that. That was a great game.
It
So,
was.
I'm excited for Ball State, obviously Coach Maloney and what he's done down there in Muncie has been great. He's been building a program. I feel like a lot of coaches come in, flash in the pan, successful, they're gone. He's been there a long time and he's been very successful for a long time and finally got over the hump to get back to the tournament.
I know this is a hump he's been wanting to get over for a very long time. I'm glad the guys down in Muncie were able to do it. And it's just good to see him and those guys succeed because I know how much he wants and I know how much it means too. Ball State does have a rich baseball history that, outside of the stadium, they have a list of guys who made it to the majors.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty nice list.
Yeah.
So there's a good tradition there. They've got the new field all taken care of. The new facilities are nice. So I think it's a good opportunity for the Cardinals to make a statement. And not only for the school, but the conference as well, because the MAC is, whether we like it or not, or we know, the conference as a whole is a rich baseball conference.
Mm-hmm. This is Ball State's first tournament appearance since 2006, right?
6 or 7, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So yeah, I mean, hats off to them and what they've done. We'll be watching. We'll be pulling for them. We'll try to send out tweet updates as we can throughout the game. By the time this episode drops, we'll probably be starting first pitch. So
Yeah.
You'll be listening to us chat away about the tournament while the tournament's going on. So I'm excited for that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, this is a good end to the athletic year. Tonight, I did see on Twitter, they were doing the let me pull it up because I was just looking at this before we started the show. Toledo took home the Reese Trophy, and Ball State took home the Jacoby Trophy. These are the two trophies. The Reese Trophy, for those who don't know, is the Mid-American Conference, the school who had the best overall men's programs. So Toledo takes it home for the second year in a row. Ball State wins their Jacoby Trophy for the women's side. This is the women's side, for the sixth time in program history and the first since 2003.
Yep.
So congrats to Ball State and Toledo on that. They did their Hall of Fame inductions tonight as well, including a couple names you're going to know: Greg Jennings, Ron Harper, which that still blows my mind that he played basketball at Miami, Ohio. Of all places in the world to play basketball, he played at Miami, Ohio. You've got Herb Page from Kent State. And then you got Courtney Brown from Buffalo. You've got Mickey Cochran from Bowling Green. Those are the MAC inductees this year. So very excited for all those guys. Very well deserved. I mean, anybody can go look up their resume and see, yeah, these are guys who deserve to be in the Mid-American Conference Hall of Fame. Greg Jennings and Ron Harper, probably the two most notable guys on that list, at least for football and basketball fans. But a major hats off to all of them. Kelly Andrews, the outgoing assistant athletic director at Toledo, won the Trailblazer Award, which honors the MAC individual that demonstrated support of equal opportunities and the student athlete experience. Kelly Andrews, for anybody who knows her, if you've been in the MAC long enough, this is a name you know. Very, very well deserved for her. Congrats to her as she goes off into retirement. She's been at Toledo for a long, long time.
Yeah, she has.
So, yeah, that was their awards tonight. Big congrats to everybody over there. They were doing that at ceremony up in Cleveland. So congrats to everybody in Cleveland tonight on their inductions and their awards. Very well earned and very well deserved by all parties.
Absolutely.
So I think that's about it. I know you guys have seen a couple things I've been working on for us and things that we've got kind of in the works. Building our mobile app. That has been a fun project. I think AJ was kind of laughing when I texted him, wanted to build a mobile app. And, what was your quote, AJ? You said, "Don't you have a real job?"
Yeah. Yes.
And but no, in all seriousness, guys, this has been a project that's been fun to kind of put together. I'm really excited to get this into people's hands and get this into beta testing. Let you guys give us some feedback before we officially launch this. A lot of time and effort and thoughts have gone into building this to make this a unique a unique experience for people to be able to read, for people to be able to use. And I think people are going to like it, AJ, based off things that I've shared with you and things we've kind of discussed. I think this is going to be a pretty quality addition to covering the Mid-American Conference.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something new. It's something exciting and something everybody can be a part of.
Absolutely. I think that's going to about do it for me this week. AJ, you have anything else on your mind?
That's it for me.
Cool. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, checking us out. We appreciate it. We are updating a few things on our website, so you can check those out over at www.thecscpodcast.com. Going to be making a few tweaks, a few additions here and there. If you're listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, please do us a solid. Leave us a review. We're trying to pump up a few numbers on some things. So any review, any updates that you guys feel you want to share, leave us a 5-star review. If you don't leave us a 5-star review, well, don't leave us a review. No, in all seriousness, leave us a review. We love the feedback. We love the criticism, the critiques. We want to make sure that we are continue to be the best Mid-American Conference podcast out there. And continue to deliver you guys as best a coverage as we can. So please leave a review. Please subscribe. Please follow us along on wherever podcasts are, wherever you listen to us. Please subscribe so you stay up to date for all of our episodes. Like I said, we're doing the mobile app. Follow us on Twitter. We're now over 1,750 on Twitter, trying to hit that 2,000 mark here before football season, which would be awesome. Yeah, we got a couple things in the works, and we're just excited to keep moving this thing forward.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.